Hey PC World fans, Adam here with Brad Shoemaker of Nextlander fame. Go over and check out nextlander.com.
Yes, thank you.
There we go, for all the fun video game stuff. Anyway, we're here to talk about big case versus small case. If you don't know, Brad is a big case guy. He loves big cases. Like if you want to see what a big case is,
Look, I don't like to brag.
yeah, he doesn't want to brag, but if you go back and watch our live build in a new system we did earlier this year, Brad sprung for one of the biggest cases you can get.
Yeah, is there a bigger one? Is this a Fractal Define 7 XL?
Maybe. I'm sure that maybe there's somewhere, but it is definitely one of the bigger ones. And me, as time goes on, I've trended smaller and smaller. So this is a kind of a quick overview of big case versus small case, and why maybe one should pick one over the other. First off, let's just establish what we think the strengths and weaknesses are of each. So let's go with big case first. What do you think is the strengths of a big case?
It's options for me. I will say it wasn't always that way. I was always just kind of a middle of the road mid-tower guy until we did this build, and I think I just hit my limit. I've been building PCs for like 20 plus years, and it's just like one too many times of like some clearance not lining up or like a GPU not fitting or whatever.
So you're like, you know what, I can put literally anything in here.
That was 100%.
I have no problem.
It's like I've got an EATX motherboard in this thing. Like I could put 4 radiators. It literally can accommodate like 4 radiators. Like it can fit a 480 in this thing. You know, I could turn it into like it holds something like 18 hard drives if I want. I could turn it into a storage server in 5 years. You know what I mean? It's just like
you can literally do anything.
Yes, and obviously the big downside is size. You know, but
I mean, because it's a strength and a weakness.
Yes,
is that thing's huge. You're not putting that on your desk.
No,
I'm assuming it's on your floor.
Luckily, I come from the old school, and the PC goes on the floor.
Ah, okay, yeah.
So,
well, and also, not only is it big, it's heavy.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna have to move that thing around,
it is. It's not as heavy as you would think for the size, though. So I have a Define 6 or R6. That might be heavier than the 7XL. The 7XL has got a lot more flex to it, and so I wonder if they are using lighter metals, maybe. Maybe. It's definitely bulky, but it's not as heavy as you would think.
Yeah. Well, what's another positive that you can think of?
It looks rude as hell.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it looks
ominous. You're like, is that a computer?
Some of that is just aesthetic, you know. I mean, well, actually, some would say it looks like a giant black refrigerator. Honestly, I mean, it's just a big slab of brushed metal, more or less. I mean, not aesthetics are what they are. You know, not every case is going to look like that, but
well, you got room to put things in there.
True.
Willis had a build, and he had a little Gundam in his because his case was so big.
All right, gotta fill that space with something.
Yeah. You got room for it. Would you say cost is a downside? Do you feel like big cases, because they command usually a higher price tag?
From what I'm trying to remember.
Or do you think it's worth it?
I want to say the XL was like $50 more than the regular Define 7. So like, it is a premium, but that's not, you're already building a PC. 50 more bucks if you need the space is not that bad. Yeah. If it was like double the price or something, I'd be like, that's maybe not, but
yeah. Well, I mean, unless the options continue to straggle like they have, and they're like, oh, there's actually no big cases out there.
That's the thing. You might have to get them while you can.
Oh, yeah. Well, okay, so maybe that's the downside, is scarcity, right? I mean, because if you're looking for options, there's not that many.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
So, all right. Well, any other strengths and weaknesses that you can think of for big case?
It's really just extensibility, just being able to cram stuff. I mean, but also, like I use that thing for work, and I've got like all the PCIe slots are filled. I may stick a bunch of drives in there at some point. Like if you're just doing a gaming and like screw around on the internet machine, probably okay with a mid tower or even smaller. Yeah.
Well, speaking of smaller, so I dipped my toe in small form factor a couple of years ago, and now I'm like, I'm hooked.
Now you measure cases by liters.
I do. I don't even know what a liter is. Liter cola. But so what are the strengths? What are the strengths of smaller cases? It doesn't have to be small form factor. The definitions for small form factor, some people kind of like go back and forth on it, but we're talking about as small as you can get. I would say personally, like, it doesn't take up a ton of space,
Yeah.
so you can put it almost anywhere. Like, you can put it on like a tray, attached underneath or something like that. It's just hidden. It's just out of the way.
They put handles on those things. They're so
Yeah.
small. You can just carry it around wherever.
And I'm not. I should clarify. We're also not talking about like small integrated boxes. Like that. We're talking about actual.
Something you build yourself.
Yeah. The DIY PC boxes. Because obviously, you can get some real powerful hardware in a small thing. Even put it on the back of your monitor.
Yeah.
But at the sacrifice of upgradability and all that stuff. Anyway, I would say that is a strength, especially recently. Like, I feel like the small form factor scene is like in a really good space compared to what it has been in the past. Supposedly, I don't know. I'm pretty new to it, but from what I've heard is that like the options there, you just didn't have a ton of options, but now it's starting to get better in the different configurations. I mean, you have like the A4H2O that you can put a 240 millimeter rad in. You've got ones that are perform really well on air cooling. Like you definitely have options. Sandwich style layout, towers. You want like a entertainment center kind of flat home theater PC look.
Yeah.
It feels like there's a lot of good options for people there.
There's also an aspect of elegance to them. I think like some of the most creative builds I've seen. Like it's almost like it's not quite an engineering problem, but it's almost one. You know what I mean? Like. How much can you cram into this small space? Like some of the more creative ways you see people getting stuff in there. Like there's a really elegant quality to a good small form factor build.
Which I'll say is a strength and a weakness. And I would put this in both categories. Is the configuration options. Like you have to make sure that everything is lined up. You have your parts right. You have your configuration right. Because if you go in there and you're like, oh crap, I was off by a couple millimeters. This thing just doesn't fit, which I've done before. Then you're in a world of hurt. But at the same time, it's fun. Because like if you nail it and you get it the way you want to, you can just look at it and be like, oh my god, look what I did in such a small case. So I would put that in the strength and weaknesses category.
Sure.
Another weakness that I have to be honest, and a lot of people bring this up all the time, is the cost. Like it definitely
really,
and that's not just the case itself. I will say, like you can have premiums, but they're all are pretty good like small form factor cases that don't require a ton of money, but typically it's a little bit more of a premium, I would say. But then also figuring in the mini ITX motherboards. Even micro ATX like can be more expensive than just a full size board.
Really?
So yeah, there's cost there. I mean, also time is cost to a certain degree. So if you can build in a big tower in like nothing, but if you're working for hours on end for a small case, which can be fun, time is money. Mm-hmm. So
certainly,
yeah, some people call that a downside. But one of the strengths that I always like to point out, at least for me, is that I never thought about airflow or temperatures when building in mid towers. I'm like, it's fine enough as long as it's not throttling. Like I didn't really have to worry about it too much. But in small form factor, then I started to have to worry, and it actually taught me way more about airflow and things like undervolting. Like it taught me to be a better builder. By going small form factor. So like for me, I consider that like a big strength is that like I learned more about PC building because of the constraints, if that makes sense.
Sure, yeah. That raises a question for me. What about noise? Because I would assume with so much less surface area, you probably got to have a lot more ventilation, so there's probably more mesh situations and like kind of semi-open panels and not so much like hard surfaces. So like, is it louder?
Well, I mean, once again, it really depends on the configuration. Like my A4H2O, which like I really love that build. I loaded fan control that application and like just tuned it to like just perfectly to hit that like amount of performance without being too noisy. That thing like I was just like, oh, that's not that loud at all. Like it was as loud as a console. Sometimes the consoles like. Yeah, can get loud under load, right? Like it was pretty much like that.
Okay.
But in my new one, I have my 7800 X3D on an air cooler, like a low profile air cooler with a slim fan. It's a nice Noctua fan on there, but yeah, at the same time, that thing like I've messed around with the curves and stuff like that, but like that can definitely get a little louder. Once again, it really depends on the configuration, the fan size, the profile of the fan, all that kind of stuff. So yes and no, I guess it depends. So I'll say even in mid towers, I have found myself actually appreciating smaller and smaller mid towers. So even if you don't feel like you want to go small form factor, like mid towers, you've been able to fit a lot of good stuff in a really compact space. Like we have a Fractal Torrent over here, and that's like for a couple years running has been like one of the best cooling like towers out there. And that thing, I mean, depending on which size you get, they do have multiple sizes. Depending on which size you can get, like we have the compact over there, and it's just like, wow, that compact is like cool, quiet, and just like super performant. So like I feel like there can be a middle spot, right?
Sure.
Where you went, super huge. For my my gaming PC, I went super small. Like, there's definitely somewhere in between. Like you don't have to be, in one camp or the other, though I'm sure there will be. Let us know in the comments which camp you're in. Mm-hmm. But I do feel like, at least in the mid-tower game, things are even trending a little smaller on that end.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I think the true answer is buy the case you need, right? Like, there's,
right?
Get the thing that suits your needs. I mean, granted, my machine is both a workstation and a gaming machine. Like, I kind of need it to be a lot of things, but like, don't go out and buy a giant case just because you might do a thing in 5 years. Get the thing that suits your use case.
Well, I think the other last point is aesthetics, right? Like for me, a lot of times, whatever case option that I can get then can translate into the aesthetics of the other pieces. So like the Fractal North, I really like the white one with the wood on the front. I'm like, okay, well, if I went with that, then that's gonna, like I would want like white, the motherboard, white cooler, all that kind of stuff, So like I feel like me personally, I think a little bit more in terms of design aesthetic above like sometimes functionality or like even performance. I'm like, I'll take a little less performance for like a little more design, but that equation is different for everybody.
Sure. I mean, I'm the guy that doesn't want to put the vented top on my case just so I can maintain the like solid black monolith look.
Yeah.
So I get it. Absolutely.
Nice. All right. Well, I think this debate will always rage on. If anything, though, even though I'm not a huge fan of very large towers, I do feel like there needs to be more large tower options out there because options are good. That's what makes the PC awesome, is that you have options. So whether you're building in a large tower or a small tower, let us know in the comments below. Appreciate the PC and all the options that it has. And thank you, Brad, for chatting with me. Go over to nextlander.com to check out all the fun gaming stuff. Until then, subscribe here on PC World for more PC hardware and software goodness. We will catch you in the next video.